Good afternoon. My name is Joe Mock, President of Verifone North America. Sitting with me here today is Brian Penny, who's VP of Payments and New Markets at Nordstrom. Brian, we were just chatting. I think I've known you for 5, 6, 7 years. And it's interesting as we take a look at the Verifone Nordstrom partnership. It's really been a great physical example of Verifone's evolution from being a widget supplier. I remember selling you simple PinPad 1000s probably 10, 15 years ago.
Yep.
Fast forward to today, you're now using our in-store MX915, you're using our payment services, and we've expanded that to mobility. So we've really grown our partnership, and I appreciate that, and I think it's a great example of Verifone and the type of partnerships we're trying to create in the industry. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah.
So I got a few questions for you today. So there's been a big shift in retail, and some may even call it an apocalypse. What do you call it?
I think it's really about the retailer becoming relevant and staying relevant. If you just expect your customer to come to you and not deal with her on her terms, then you're going to lose relevance and you're going to lose the ability to exist like a lot of retailers have. And so you've got to be innovative, challenging, always pushing the envelope, which I think we constantly do with you on a daily basis.
That's an understatement. So, maybe that's probably a great lead-in, and this is something that we didn't even talk about before this that I'd love to get your perspective on, which is Nordstrom Local, right? So tell us about it, including the thinking behind it and the feedback from the consumers, from the customer, which is what matters at the end of the day on this concept thus far.
So I think Nordstrom, obviously, we have both online, in-store locations. We try to do full price and off price. In the full price, we have such a big footprint. We can't be everywhere that customer wants to be in a physical location. And in an area like LA, where it can take you 2 hours to get from your house to a mall, a lot of people don't make that trek. So what we were doing was bringing the concept of Nordstrom closer to the customer. No, it has no inventory. It's all about the services, and it's all about when the customer wants to interact. So someone initiates a transaction online, they say they want to pick up the merchandise in store. We offer that service in all of our stores, but we wanted to bring that service closer to the customer. That's the concept of what Nordstrom Local is. It's all about the services and the services that you're used to at Nordstrom. It's not to bring the merchandise to you. It will evolve with locations where we can have the merchandise there for the customer same day, quickly, so that they can move forward with it. So we're going to, I think, walk slowly with this one and see where it is, but it's a way to just bring the services closer to the customer.
That's interesting. And so you have one location today?
One location.
Any others planned or something you can't comment on at this point?
Nothing announced at this point.
And then from a, maybe just to talk about that a little bit more, so this is interesting, right? It is truly an experience, is what you're trying to create, a convenient experience. Is there any payments that take place within the stores, or what do you do from a technology perspective?
So about a year ago, we launched what we call Reserve Online, Pickup in Store. Reserve Online is an evolution of Buy Online, Pickup in Store. So Reserve Online is that you find the merchandise and you go in and you can try it on, but the transaction doesn't complete until you're in the physical location. So that's what the Nordstrom Local is. You decide you want to buy a suit, but you don't know if it's going to fit or not. So you make your best guess.
Is that a hint that I need a new suit?
You always need a new suit. We always do. Cannot have enough. And then you reserve it online. They bring the merchandise into the store. They set an appointment. You go in, and I used a suit for an example because then you may actually need some alterations. So we have in-store alterations, and it'll all be done right there in the store. The payment transaction happens just like it does in the store. Same traditional, at least at this point in the one location, it is traditional point of sale with a fixed MX915 that we have. So we're and we'll get talking about mobility, but we haven't gotten there yet because the footprint's so small.
Okay, that's a perfect segue, right? So Nordstrom really has been viewed, and this is true too, as an omni-channel retailing, and you continue to drive innovation more than just about anybody I interact with. What future store concepts are you working on, and what impact will these have on the checkout experience?
I think the Nordstrom local and just the concepts in general are about being a retailer that's there when and how she wants to interact. So, we don't, other than the Manhattan store that is here, and we've got a location announced in Connecticut in 2019, there really aren't a lot of mall opportunities or big full-line store opportunities. So what we're trying to do is evolve that concept so it'll be what happens and how we evolve. We are talking to Verifone about how, two things. One, can the salesperson interact without a tethered payment device? So point of sale is one thing, payment is another, and can we interact with those two things together? I think that's something that we're working on, and next year hopefully we can announce what we'll be doing with Verifone. But it is devices that you have, but it's software and services that we'll have to work together on. And then I think in general, we want to put some of the transaction back into the hands of the customer. But in all honesty, no customers are out there saying, we want this right now. They're happy when they walk in a Nordstrom store for the services and the experience. And so I think we'll continue to look at that. We've got our rack concept, and we haven't talked much about rack, but with the rack concept, it really is a lot of fast, easy, and convenient for that customer. That's where a lot of some more of the, let the customer self-check out, those types of things that we're looking at and trying to evolve. Nothing's announced. It's all ideas at this point, and we'll continue to work on them.
Excellent. So, well, first of all, I am wearing a Nordstrom shirt today, so it just hit me. So I wanted to let you know that. So I'm your customer as well. So how do retailers like Nordstrom strike the right balance between convenience and security while keeping up with the latest payment methods consumers want, right? Kind of going back to what you were just commenting on, how do consumers want to pay, how do they want to interact?
It's interesting. My job at Nordstrom didn't exist 4 years ago. I kind of got brought into this space because of a payments background that I had. But within the last 4 years, Nordstrom has, in this priority, security is number one. That's by far where Verifone stepped up. You've got encryption from the device. You go out to our acquirer directly, so that takes us out of that transaction, helps with PCI scope. Security obviously is number one. We want to protect our customers, and then it has to be a good customer experience. So for example, we haven't turned on NFC in our stores. We haven't turned on NFC in our stores because our customers aren't yelling for it, and also we think that maybe there's another technology that's going to come at a later point that we want to work on, and we want it to be the right experience. And we won't get into card brand discussions, but you've got all the card brands that are, you guys are out there pushing the envelope, we're pushing the envelope, and I feel like a lot of the card brands and card networks are kind of standing back saying, we'll catch up with the technology later.
And I think that's the exact conversation I was having with Perry earlier, right? Which, technology for technology's sense doesn't make sense, right? Just because you've got the capability to support NFC, is that really what your customers want? Is that really what your business objectives are? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. It's different for every retailer.
And you go to these shows, and there are a lot of solutions looking for a problem.
Yeah.
And we have to have a problem that needs a solution. And so every time I talk to your team, to other people's teams, let's talk about what are the problems. Start with the problem, and then solve the problem. Don't start with the solution and try to sell the solution.
That's great advice. Did you hear that, Renee? Anyway, Nordstrom and Verifone have been partners for over a decade. How has Verifone helped Nordstrom grow?
I hit on it earlier with the racks. We, in the last year, have rolled the mobile EMV solution back out to the rack stores. And the key there is that when we didn't have it in the rack stores, the fraudsters were going, the EMV solution were going after us in the rack stores. So growth is not necessarily sales growth, but I can tell you that the EMV solution with the E355 has helped reduce our expenses over the last 2 years pretty significantly. And specifically with the rack store, we went from virtually, less than 5% of the transactions. Now that we have EMV, in the holiday season, we're about 20% of all transactions in all rack stores were on a mobile point of sale. 20%. So it'll go down when there's no lines, but when there's lines, if you can hit those 20% of the people, that's 20% of the people that didn't abandon their cart in the store and walk out. So we really look at it as keeping the fast and convenient. And as we look at the full line store, it's how do we capture that customer and not have to take them to the sales checkout experience, but bring the sales checkout experience to them. And that's how it's going to help. It's going to make, I don't want to walk back through the store from the dressing room to make my payment. I want to do it in the dressing room or near the dressing room. Or I want to do it over here. I don't want to have to take all of my cosmetics that I just bought at the Lancome counter and carry them all the way back to the checkout. So I think that's how it's helped us. It also helps us that we have not lost customers because we haven't been breached in a security manner, and that is very important for us.
It's a great comment. So really good conversation. I do appreciate, Brian, how your statement about solving problems, right? It's not about a solution to go try to find a problem. I appreciate how you've pushed Verifone over the years. I think you've made us a better company, and I'm super pleased to hear that we've helped you guys grow your business. So thanks for your time today.
Thank you.